This week's podcast is brought to you by Papa Joe's Pizza. Papa Joe's Pizza, from our family to yours since 1971. I believe in what we do. If you're ever disappointed in our food or service and we can't make you completely satisfied, we'll refund your money to the penny without any hassle, guaranteed. Thanks, Joe. Let's do it, boys. After a week break, we thought this would kind of bring some life to the podcast. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Feeling okay. Weather's starting to turn a little bit here. It's a little cool out, but sports are good. Happy with the Sixers. Happy with just football in general.
Yeah, congratulations to the Houston Astros, world champions.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
I like Altuve Correa. His wife is, his fiance.
Yeah.
I didn't like how we abruptly ended on my 3-game winning streak, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm 3-0 since the interim title was removed.
I think we've been doing, actually, I don't know the exact numbers, but we've been doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Am I legit?
I think you are legit.
Yeah.
I think you're a legit guy. I think people got to start tailing your bets.
Yeah, interesting to see what you have this week.
Lot of pressure this week.
Yeah, there is. The pressure starts to mount now. Now that people are starting to say, I think this guy's kind of legit.
I'll listen to what he has to say. Yeah.
So, hey, we are filming this on Thursday, so the NFL game's about to kick off. College basketball starts tomorrow. Any thoughts on that?
This is your captain, baby. Hey, come with me. We're going to Charlotte, baby. It's going to be awesome. Look who's flying this thing.
No, I'm just, for me, at the beginning of college basketball, I like to watch the big-time programs, the big-time players, and usually I would pay more attention to college basketball and watch the big players because of the Sixers, looking to draft them. Now, I'm not saying I won't pay attention, but
it's a little overshadowed.
Yeah, true. I guess you're right. I'll keep in touch. I usually watch the big prospects and kind of see what they do.
I do have two thoughts here on college basketball. I've had an extreme amount of success in college basketball, and this isn't a college basketball podcast, but my thoughts on college basketball are as follows. When you get big-time programs, Duke, Michigan State, whatever, big-time programs against some of the non-Power 5 teams, a lot of times you're looking at a large spread, and what I love to do is bet the first half, because a lot of times these teams cover the spread, the game spread in the first half, and they just kind of take their foot off the gas, and some young guys get into, first halves are absolutely money. Second thought, not going to give any, this isn't a preseason college basketball podcast, but Wichita State, number 1 on ESPN's Power Index, have a great player in Landry Shamet. Their odds to win the national championship, and they've never done it. They've been close many a times. Plus 3,000. 30-1.
Really? Interesting.
I think that's an immense amount of value. I mean, odds they win,
it'd be cool.
Probably won't win, but I think there's great value there.
It'd be cool if college basketball kind of had a Heisman, kind of like college football.
They have the Wooden Award.
Yeah, but a little.
Grayson Allen going to win that? No, just kidding. But Duke is the number one team rolling in. I know you said you're going to be watching a lot of ND. So
I know. I'm excited for Notre Dame basketball.
Wichita State finally joined a conference. They joined
the American with Temple.
The one Temple's in,
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to see there.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we're gonna do something different here. What we're gonna do 3 common games. We're gonna try and roll with this from here on through the end of the season. But we're gonna go 3 common games in college football. We determined this on Monday, so we're just gonna kind of give our little spiel about the common games, and then we'll go into our wild cards, make a few picks, and then we'll go from there into NFL. Okay, we're going to go with some common games here. Going to give the game. You guys have to make a pick.
Okay.
I'll go first. Georgia minus 2.5 at Auburn. Rarely do I like a road favorite. I do here. Georgia team, probably the best they've ever had and potentially one of the greatest of all time.
Whoa.
When you look at Auburn's body of work, because we're big body of work guys.
True.
Here.
Huge.
When teams have been able to stop the run, they have struggled. When Auburn has been stopped running the ball, they have struggled. 38 rushing yards in a loss to Clemson, and they struggled in the second half against LSU. Those are their 2 losses. I think Georgia, they will be able to stop the run as they were able to stop the best rushing attack in the country. And in a winning effort on the road at ND, Georgia is a proven team. They played well on the road, covering 7 of their last 7. Make it 8 of 8.
I think this is a fun game. To me, I see college football, like the elite teams are kind of going back to more of that old school approach. And what I mean by that is they can run the football. They're dominant up front in the trenches. And that's what I see with the top teams in the country. That's what I see with Alabama. That's what I see with Georgia. That's what I see with Notre Dame. That's why I do like Georgia here. I think they're a team that travels well. And I would be pretty confident laying that 2.5. They've statistically, over the years, done well against the spread with Auburn. Georgia's 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 road games, 10-1 against the spread in their last 11 road games against a team with a winning record. Like, they show up here in big-time games. I think Georgia continues to get it done here. I'll go with Georgia as well.
Hostile environment.
Clean sweep here or no?
Yeah.
In Auburn, Alabama for this game. Heard Cam Newton's going to be there, but he's going to witness a loss to his alma mater. I like Georgia.
Interesting. I think this is like a huge game. I mean, if Auburn wins,
they put themselves right back in there.
Back in the mix, because they do they do face Auburn here soon. Next common game, ND -3 at Miami. Ray, I'll say my thing. This is probably my least favorite of the 3 we have to pick. Last week, Miami opened as around a 2-point home dog, and it ended up closing on the other end as they were a small favorite. 89% of the money came in on Virginia Tech. I didn't place money, but I was like, damn, like, Virginia Tech, this is a lock. But I saw the 89%, and we switched in a pick and pool. We did switch to Miami just solely based on that. And here's my whole take on that. There's no denying Miami has looked terrible at times, but they're young. Performances like the one you saw against UNC are kind of expected. Looks like they're finally coming full circle as they kind of did last week as they dominated that game start to finish. I would personally advise you to not bet this game. Since it is a common game, like I said, I have to make a pick. I'm going to watch the percentages and see where the money comes in. If I see a large percentage of money on ND, which I expect, I'm going to take Miami as much as that might pain you, Ray. ND did get a little banged up last week as Wimbush and Adams both missed some time at one point or another. I don't know their status for this week. And there's still concerns with Wimbush as a passer. He's completing just barely over 50%, but he's been effective enough in the run game to get it done. I think this is just a great game to watch. I advise you not to bet it.
Oh, this is going to be one of the best games of the year, in my opinion. Hostile environment. ESPN's been showing the freaking Catholics versus convicts thing all week, the 30 for 30. Just going to be a great environment. This is good for college football that both of these teams are kind of in the hunt here.
The U is back, man.
There's a reason, though, that I still think that they're only ranked 7. They've kind of had some questionable performances. Last week, by far, was Miami's best game against Virginia Tech. You kind of took the words out of my mouth with where the money is. All the money, for the most part, is on Notre Dame early, and that scares me.
Public hates Miami.
But I'm not obviously going to pick against the Irish.
Right.
But it's kind of what I said with Georgia. Notre Dame's a team that's going to travel well. They run the football, and despite what you think about Wimbush not being able to throw the ball, the last couple of games he's shown he can. That completion percentage is, I think you kind of have to throw out the door. Some of those are just shots downfield and a couple balls that he's throwing away. The throws that he has to make, he's put on the money. I'm not worried about him being banged up. It was his left hand. It was like a little left hand bruise. He's fine. He could have came back in the game. Kelly said it. He just took Adams out because they were up, and he was didn't have a concussion or anything like that. I think Notre Dame's offensive line takes over this football game. The biggest thing Notre Dame has to avoid is a turnover early in the game. Turnover early in the game in an environment like that could spell trouble for this team, I think. But they've been resilient all year. They're on a mission, and I think they continue to get it done.
I think what ND has to avoid is if they plan to win this game, I think they need to go up early. So I think Miami's a great fourth-quarter team, and if it's close in the fourth quarter, I think the advantage is Miami's side. But Flad,
well, when I said the U is back, I mean collectively as a unit, mainly from their fans. I don't know if you've seen lately on Barstool. I mean, you got fans getting carried out of the stadium, punching cops. The U is back in that regard. So, with that, I'm going to ride the U train here. I'm going to go with Miami, kind of go against the grain. I don't have much to comment on their team, but, collectively as a unit, the U's back, and I like them to cover.
75% of the money on Notre Dame.
Yeah, and it didn't move at all. So that's, I think the Vegas is pretty.
Did you know? Last team to beat Miami. Notre Dame last year.
Interesting.
Wow.
You talked about the U being back. Their home field advantage is kind of weird. And I watched the game last week. There was a lot of empty seats.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know if fans were just going to the vendors or what, but there's a lot of Miami has much teal blue stadium. There's a lot of teal blue.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, but I don't know if it's a hostile environment. I don't know where.
It's going to be on Saturday.
Right, it will, but another tough one in my opinion. TCU plus 6.5 at Oklahoma. TCU's not in a good place offensively, as they've scored less than 26 points in 3 of their last 4, and are only averaging 15.5 in the last 2 games. A lot at stake here in this game, as winner has a good grip on a berth to the first ever Big Ten title game. With that being said, I'm inclined to take the points, as the matchups have been between these two have been very close over the years. However, Oklahoma has looked very, very good on offense as of late. While they did give up a ton of points, it was on the road, and they did not let Okie State score a ton above their average. If they can keep this TCU team to their average on offense, I think it's an easy cover. This is an Oklahoma defense that essentially stopped an Ohio State offense on the road. So I think they have it in them. It's just a matter of if they show up. But like I said, I'm going to take – sorry, I'm not taking the points. I'm laying it with Oklahoma. And if you're stuck at 7, I say you buy down to 6.5.
Yeah, I love Baker Mayfield. He's absolutely my favorite player in college football. I love his attitude. I love the way he plays the game. I love how he
good little backstory to him.
I love how he yaps at the opposing crowd. I love Baker Mayfield, and he backs it up. I mean, he's incredible. He's going to put this team on his back. You made a good point, Ron, but it's the Oklahoma defense that's going to show up. Is it going to be the team that gave up 1 million points last week, or is it going to be the team that shut down Ohio State? I don't know. I think it's going to be some kind of combination of both. Kenny Hill, he has 0 touchdown passes in 3 of his last 4 games. I think this TCU offense has kind of slowed down a little bit. I do think Gary Patterson will bring it for the Horned Frogs on defense. I mean, he always does, but I am also inclined to lay the points here with the very hot Oklahoma team.
I'm taking Oklahoma.
Clean sweep?
Clean sweep.
As a fan of college football and as someone that put some money on Saquon Barkley to win the Heisman, I'm hoping Oklahoma loses and Baker Mayfield looks okay. But, we'll see. I think a lot of these games, I believe the only early one was the first game we talked about. So I think there's when ND and TCU, I believe, play at the same time. So might have to get a little picture-in-picture there. But let's jump into some of our individual picks here.
Fellas, going to stick to the Big 12 here. Going to go to West Virginia at Kansas State. 3:30 game. The current line is Kansas State minus 2.5. Listen, the 6-3 West Virginia, they're coming off a big win against Iowa State last week. I think that was a statement game for them. Keeps them in contention for the Big 12 championship. Kansas State, on the other hand, kind of had up and down year. They started off 3-1, lost 3 straight, now just won back-to-back games against the terrible Kansas Jayhawks football team. Shout out to Wally Marcial. And just beat Texas Tech last week. So they're sitting here at 5-4 overall. Will Grier, not a fan of his brother, Nash Grier, a social media guy, not a fan of him. But I do like Will Grier. Transfer from Florida. He's fit in very nicely in Morgantown.
We talked about him on the preseason.
Yeah, I like him.
Great moxie.
Completing 65% of his passes for over 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks. Like this kid a lot. I think they can move the football really against anybody. Not sure who Kansas State's going to play quarterback this week. Their starter's been out the last few games with a knee injury. Their second stringer, Delton, was replaced by Skylar Thompson. Good name there, Skylar Thompson. Last week he suffered a blow to the head, and he actually came in, Skylar that is, and led them to an overtime victory against Texas Tech. But Kansas State just hasn't had a quality win all season. Their best win is probably against Texas Tech, and Texas Tech's barely – they're not even a 500 football team. So that's probably their best win. They don't have a quality win. In my opinion, West Virginia is the better team here. They still have high aspirations for this season. I think this line should be the other way, but I'll gladly take the 2.5. I think they win outright, though.
One comment here. I did catch some of the Kansas State game last week. That Delton kid might be the new face of college football in a couple years. He looked like a star athlete. Like, the way he carried himself, and it was just unbelievable. For my first pick, I'm going to lay 14 points with the Alabama Crimson Tide visiting Mississippi State. This line does not make sense to me. Bama averages 41 points while they only allow an incredible 9.8 points. Wow. Bama has the team to travel, and I think they get it done on the road here because of their defense and their offense that just wears opponents down. This is evidenced by their 6-1 ATS record over the last 7 road contests. Let's go back a couple weeks to when Mississippi State was garnering all this respect as a contender. They got exposed in back-to-back weeks by Georgia and Auburn. They won 4 straight since then. And they're back in the top 25. So I think we're going to see some similar, to what they did against those two teams. I think Mississippi State last week, they had to rally to beat a terrible UMass team. I just don't see this at all. I'm going to lay the 14 points gladly with Alabama, and I would lay north of 21. I think this is an absolute blowout.
Yeah, I actually like this play. I didn't really look too much into it, but just some things here.
I struggled to find picks this week.
Yeah, there was only these two things were the only ones that really stood out to me. You're right, though. I love the point that you made about Mississippi State and playing the top competition in the SEC, and you mentioned Georgia and Auburn. I just looked up a statistic here. They lost to those teams by a combined score of 80-13. 80
and
to
they're
13.
Facing an even better defense
With a team that I think wants to make a statement. Because they're probably not happy being number 2 to their SEC rival in Georgia.
Nick Saban might say he doesn't care about it, but
they care. They care. So I like that a lot.
Flappy?
For my pick, I'm kind of adopting the role of just, being a major line guy, reading the lines, and this week, looking for my 4th win in a row, and we're going to go to Stanford. They host Washington. Tough matchup, but I like Stanford to cover here. Right now, they are at it moved down to a -6, I believe. Just pulling up the line here. With money all over Washington, the line still moved to Stanford. It's a +6 for Stanford, and I like them to cover. I think Bryce Love is going to have a big game. And, they play teams tough, and I expect them to do the same hosting Washington this week.
Yeah, interesting to see that Stanford still has something to play for here, and so does Washington. But I like this Stanford team. I think that I'm hoping they win. I'm rooting for them just from being a Notre Dame fan. I want them to have a strong record at the end of the year.
That game could be very, very important. Nonetheless, Ray, you want to jump into your next one?
Sure. I actually am going to go to the Big Ten. Not a Big Ten guy, but for betting purposes here, I'm actually going to go to 3:30 game, Iowa at Wisconsin. Iowa getting 13. Iowa looking for back-to-back victories over top 10 teams after the blowout win against Ohio State last week and looking for their 3rd straight win overall. I mentioned before that the Iowa Hawkeyes, travel well, and they've shown this by winning 5 of their last 8 road games. Love their quarterback, Nathan Stanley. He takes care of the football. He makes good decisions. They have a balanced attack. Love the kid on defense, the linebacker, Josie Jewell. He has about 90 tackles or so leading the team. And he missed the game, too, so he probably have over 100 tackles. Wisconsin, on the other hand, they're 9-0, right? They are in the thick of things for the college football playoff, but, the committee agrees with what, we've been saying on the podcast. They haven't played anyone. I just think they're going to be a shoe into the Big Ten title game because of that soft-ass schedule. But I think they could even be left out, even if they would win out, being undefeated. Because who are you going to put in? You're going to put if Notre Dame wins out, if Bama, Georgia win out, Oklahoma or so wins out, Clemson wins out. You're really going to put Wisconsin in over those teams? Who are you going to kick out? Anyways, I think this could potentially be Wisconsin's only ranked win heading into the Big Ten title game. With that being said, I think this is going to be a gross, low-scoring game. I do expect Wisconsin to win, but not by 13 or more. I'll take Iowa plus the points. Let me interject this here about the potentially leaving Wisconsin out. I think this Wisconsin team kind of reminds me of that Notre Dame team that went 12-0 and made the national championship. They weren't the second best team in the nation, but They were 12-0. Right.
I think there's something to be said for being undefeated, and I know there's a lot left to go here, but if they get left out with an undefeated record, I think you're going to see. I don't know. There's going to be
I really don't, man. I don't think anyone respects Wisconsin.
No, I know, and it's a shame because their schedule's been set for probably 5-6 years. So
the Notre Dame also had wins against USC and Stanford.
I'm not saying they would get in over Notre, but I'm just saying.
I meant that 2012 year.
Right,
but I just. But tell me, I'd like to play this out. I said, who do you put them in over?
I don't think if people are on the whole thing if Alabama Georgia is a good game, you let both of them in. I disagree.
It's about the best 4 teams in college football, and if those teams went out and that scenario happens, you're going to put Wisconsin in over Alabama or Georgia. If you think Wisconsin's a better team,
if it's not a competitive game,
I think dumb person if you think that.
No, if it's not a competitive game, I think Wisconsin deserves an honor.
It depends.
I just.
But regardless, there's still a lot of football to play.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can sit here
if they blow out Iowa, they could throw them in next week as a top 4 team. They're literally one great showing away from being considered a top 4 team. But nonetheless, I'm going to move into my dog of the week here. I only have one non-dog of the week pick. Like I said, it's kind of hard to find lines. I'm going to read you the tale of the tapes here. You have a team start out the year 4-0, proceed to lose 5 straight. They're visiting a team that is 7-2. It doesn't make sense that the home team is a dog. Duke being the team that won their first 4 games and then lost a terrible 5 games in a row. You have Army, won 7 in a row. Army's going to win this game, in my opinion. I think you throw away the points. I believe it was 3 last I looked, but sorry, don't see it. Not going to say a ton. I think Army wins this game, and Duke's not that good.
Test your fitness today, hoorah! Test your stamina, hoorah! Toughness, hoorah! Rari, hoorah!
Army, your dog.
Yeah. Thoughts?
No, I like getting the Service Academy as dogs with that many points. I think they're going to play hard. They always backdoor cover and those sorts of things, and they're just anytime you can get points sometimes against with Service Academies against mediocre teams, I'll take it.
Army has accepted a bowl bid already.
Interesting.
Yeah, every time I look at the bowl playouts, it's there's always a star next to Army, and at the bottom of the page it says accepted bowl bid. So I don't know. Are they complacent? They know they're going to play a bowl game? I don't think so. I think we roll with Army here.
So we caught fire with this whole Brett Brown thing. I've been getting a lot of love and really rolling with it before our little bye week last week. But it came to a screeching halt when some wise ass thought that he could go on the show and do his Brett Brown impression. And it really pissed me off because the host of the show thought it was me. And this guy's impression is just garbage. It's actually a damn shame. It sounds like me doing the impression after a long night of drugs. And I was actually, one of my buddies who lives in Philadelphia, he texted me that morning that this guy went on. He's like, dude, I'm really pissed for you because this guy thinks that he can do a Brett Brown impression, and it was just garbage. So I'm going to play this guy's impression for you, and this will probably ruffle some feathers.
What's next, bro? Hello, morning crew. Brett Brown checking in. Yeah. Anthony, I'm not sure what I did wrong in life to deserve this. But the problems that we've been having the past couple of years with our top pick rookies is really weighing on me. It's bothering me as well that I cruised the Sixers.
Dude, that's so brutal.
It's bad. I'm just gonna end it. It's terrible.
It's like pacing.
Yeah,
like,
just
it's not good.
delivery's bad. He overdoes the R thing. Clearly an old guy. I'm flattered that, it just so happened that this random guy comes on the show and tries to give his best impression of, something that I was killing it with. But I was just insulted and offended, and I emailed one of the hosts, and I pretty much called him out and just said, hey, these fraud-ass Brett Brown impressionists need to stay in their lane. And I called on the show, did my own Brett Brown impression, kind of calling him out. I'll pull that one up for you. So,
hello, you've reached the Nothing Division Complaint About line. Brought to you by Sports Cullen. Get the money you deserve. Call 1-800-JUSTICE. Please leave a message after the beep. Yes, good morning. It's Brett. Well, you know who this is. I'm going to skip the intro. Tough loss on Wednesday, but I'm not really here to talk about the game. I'm actually really here to call out this guy who thinks he can impersonate me. I emailed the bro about him. The guy's just not really good. Basically, you need to work on your pace and your delivery. Really everything about it is bad. So actually altogether, you could just stop. It's really just not good. So, regardless, that's petty. Looking forward to going 2-4 tonight against Dallas. I'm going to give Nerlens a big hug when I see him, and I'll talk to you guys when I'm back home.
yeah, so that was my call. I didn't record the actual live call when they played it, but I think it was a little in over their heads about how mad I was. But, regardless, Brett might be back down the road. Let's get into some NFL. I don't know if you guys have any remarks about that.
No, I remember how fired up you were. You told me, you sent me those audios, and it's just awful.
Yeah.
Just disrespectful to you and to Brett.
A little bit.
To be honest.
It's a SVB.
Really. It is, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he's a listener. So if you're listening, buddy, fuck you.
There's a lot of big games this week. I believe there's 2 games that are top 25s that we didn't talk about. So enjoy the weekend. The Thursday night game about to kick off here. It's kind of a toilet game, but we're going to move into NFL week 9 already. Week 10.
Week
That's
10.
incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm still alive in the suicide pool.
Unreal.
Sweatshirts are still.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
I want that sweatshirt. So,
Rooting
let
for you,
me
bud.
update you guys here. My father and I both have 1 pick left.
your father now.
Yeah.
When have you ever
My dad
called him
and I,
father?
Nonetheless, we're both together, and we've decided that we're going to go in together. We're not going to pick the same teams. If one of us wins,
He's still in it too.
we split.
Nice.
Yeah,
Your
so
father.
there's 31 people left, so we have 2 out of 31 chances of
Whose
taking
father
someone.
Kennedy picking, and then your
So,
pick?
so here we go. My picks are due by the start of Thursday night game, so I already sent them in. I took Detroit at home against Cleveland, and I believe he took, with some insight from me, he took the Rams -11 at home against the Texans, I think.
I think those are.
And I think a lot of people have already picked these 2 teams. Yes,
How many
it might be
people are left?
perfect, but 31.
31.
Playing for $20,000.
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
This is the furthest I made it, and people are going to start offering deals like, everybody, when you get down to 10 or 15, people are going to be like, everyone take $500 and play out for the rest.
Our custom sweatshirts better be like $100 a piece.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I get.
They better be
like an
Big
Under Armour,
baller
like
brand.
dry
Yeah.
fit,
Big
Nike
baller
dry
brand.
fit.
Nike dry fit, stitching.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see. And some screen printed bullshit.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's 7 weeks yet. Sorry, 8 weeks, so we got a ways to go. But Wouldn't it be great if it was just one person to win it all? I don't know if it's ever been one person. I think people make it all.
If it gets down to like you and 4 people and they offer to split, what's the minimum number of people that you would be willing to split?
I could offer a split right now. It's just if one, it's like the Cadillac dinner. If someone says no, one person says no, you keep going. I would really.
How much did you put in?
$20. Well,
how many picks you did?
I had 2 picks. I put in $40. So I would like to get, if it gets down to 5, somewhere between 5 and 10 people, I would propose everybody take $1,000.
Oh yeah,
and then play out for the rest. I would like to get some return for my investment, my season long investment, but. Hopefully we're talking about this next week. But
yeah, I'll be rooting for you.
Wish you all the best.
For you and your father.
Go Detroit.
And the Rams. Jumping into some games, do you guys have any initial thoughts here?
Bye week for the Birds, so I'm going to be playing a lot of 2K on Sunday.
Things are starting to shape up here. There's not, for me, from a betting perspective, there wasn't a ton of games that really stood out to me. Originally, I kind of liked Dallas a little bit against Atlanta, particularly in a teaser. But with Zeke out, I'm not really sure. I mean, I still think their offensive line could take over that game, but I don't know. I probably would stay away from it now.
I did want to talk about that game, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that Atlanta's favorited. -3, but I mean,
they're better on the turf.
You look at the Falcons this year. I mean, it just seems like they should be like 2-6 with how their season's been going. So Dallas is hot; they're rolling, and I just thought that was an interesting line. So I would stick with Atlanta there if I was a betting man and go with the Falcons. But
speaking of how Dallas is playing well, I like if you could see into the future. I know you're going to hate to hear this, but, I feel like a Dallas-Philly matchup is due in the playoffs.
I would love it. Yeah, it'd be fun to watch, just from a fan's perspective.
I don't know. A line that jumped out to me. Go ahead.
I mean, I think Zeke won't be around.
He's out right now. I'm sure that'll change 50 times before kickoff. He might just be in uniform and find out 30 minutes before game that he can play. Just a terrible representation of our judicial system. Not going to get into that.
One game I'm really looking forward to watching this weekend. New Orleans -3
That's where I was going.
Buffalo.
Buffalo's going to probably win that game. They're really good at home.
New Orleans 6-2 and Buffalo 5-3. This is a huge game for both of these teams.
Buffalo had extended break too.
Buffalo 4-0 at home.
This is going to be a game where I do feel like the public will hammer New Orleans. Are they already? Not hammering it.
No, it's split.
It's pretty split, actually. Yeah. Okay, that actually surprises me. So I don't know what way this game will go, but I wouldn't touch it. But I would like to just watch it as a fan.
It's a teaser opportunity, I believe, for our home team. Get them close to 2 scores.
The New England going to Denver. New England -7.5. This is an opportunity here where NFL is a week-to-week league. I hate betting against the Patriots. All the money is on the Patriots. But this would be one of those weird games where where Denver would keep it really close, maybe win or something like that. It'll take a Brady drive at the end of the game or something like that. Just the NFL being such a week-to-week league, especially after how poor Denver played last week against the Eagles. Mm-hmm. I think that people might overreact like they are already with tons of money on New England. Maybe a spot that you sprinkle on Denver a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has been a year of dogs. I think a lot of dogs win outright. If you have the balls to bet the money line, kudos to you. I know we got to give out a teaser play. I don't have I'm not gonna just give a play to give a play. I don't have a teaser that I would super. What was the game you talked about first? I would probably tease the Bills. The Bills and. I would think about teasing the Bills and Dallas and just get both of those up to around 10 points. That would probably be what I would look at if I had to pick something. I think another team. We always talk about how bad Ben is on the road. They're a 10-point favorite against the Colts. Not that I'm going to bet the Colts, but this is a game that. Oh yeah, this would be one of those weird games that it would be really close or they would lose. And it wouldn't shock me. Another game here, Miami at Carolina. This is the Monday night game. Carolina favored by 9. Again, to me, this stands out as another weird game where, I think the public might be all over Carolina.
After last week and just like how miserable Miami is, again, week to week league. Money, if I had to guess, probably on Carolina, and then I don't know. Do you have any numbers on that?
This doesn't make sense.
So money's actually on. Yeah, it's on Carolina. The spread
taking points.
The spreads with Miami. Yeah.
Interesting. I think with a 9-point spread, the total's only 39.5.
That surprises me.
It's fishy to me.
Yeah.
The game I don't have any interest in watching, the 1-7 New York Giants at the 0-9 San Francisco 49ers. I will not be watching that game. There's only 3 late games. 4 o'clock, the 4 o'clock games.
Chiefs would only play
so I'm not interested in that game at all.
Is this the last of the bye weeks, or are there bye weeks next week yet? Yep.
Should be bye weeks next
11 next week, and then
probably 12 too. Usually goes up to 12.
12's after 12. 12's there's no bye weeks with 12, but.
Okay.
We're going to get into some Saturday night games here pretty soon. And, we'll have the Thanksgiving games coming up here. But that might wrap it up.
I don't have a ton for NFL betting-wise. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to force a play or anything. But anyone got any other
I think that's something we need
thoughts?
to, pat ourselves on the back a little bit. I think, do we force plays a little bit? I think we sometimes force plays a little bit with college football, but with NFL, I think we're very disciplined and we pick our spots with NFL. I think that's something, I take a lot of pride in.
That's a good assessment. We're, we don't make picks just to make them. Our goal is to build your role, and we stick to that.
We got it. At the end of the day, when your head hits that pillow,
if you made a little bit of money,
that's what we're trying to do.
That's all we're doing.
I love it.
Shout out to Mr. Wonderful.
I was going to say shout out to Carson Wentz. MVP odds still very high.
Oh boy, just has to get his little plug in there.
Tom Brady's still lurking. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, let's send him off. Wish you guys all the best. Papa Joe's, thank you for this week's ad, and go get your pizza.
1, 2, 3.